Yeah.
Yeah, they hate when you elevate. Stacking up losses, I'm handing them out, yeah, how they go delegate. They feel like I'm floating, I'm lost in the moment, I swear I could levitate. They never believed that I would really fly, I had to go demonstrate. I had to set them straight. They hate when you elevate.
All right.
Elevate, yeah. They hate when you
Let's get it, let's get it, let's get it. Let's get it. All right. Love the intro music to the show. That's what we doing over here. We elevating. We talking about the elevate. You know how it is. It's your boy Rain. This is A.T.P. Combat Media, the show, the platform. Thank you guys for showing up. Man. I love this sport called boxing, man. I love everything around it. I love obviously the action that happens in the square, but the buildup is such an aphrodisiac. I don't know if I should even say pause in front of that or not. But it is what it is, you know, watching these fights build up, watching these fighters and the mentality that these fighters carry, going into these, going through their whole entire career, dealing with their promoters, dealing with especially today with social media, it just keeps it so in front of you. They can't escape it. You know, back in the day when like the Tysons and Lennox Lewis's and even going further back, right? You know, we didn't get an opportunity to see these fighters as much as we see them now. Getting confronted with these questions and getting confronted with adversity. We might hear rumors in the background about what's going on and make our own assumptions of what, you know, we'd get some news and then it could turn into a 3-hour conversation. But let's be real, out of that 3-hour conversation, maybe 10 minutes of it was based off of actual facts or, you know, quoting from a fighter's lips, from their mouth or, you know, from their own voice of what's really going on. We would only assume, but today is just a different thing, right? So today, you know, this episode right here is going to be about the Ryan Garcia, Oscar Duarte press conference. What a press conference. And I say that because you think of press conferences and you probably think you've seen them all, right? You've seen one press conference, you've seen them all. And what's the use in looking at them? I mean, what is it? One fighter thinks he's going to beat another fighter. His skills is better. The other fighter, you know, hasn't fought anybody. Whoop-de-whoop-de-whoop. And the story becomes repetitive. But every now and then you get one of those press conferences that seem like they change the whole entire view of the game, of the business. Is like it does something that changes how business might be done from this day forward. You know, on the front of this thumbnail, you might have seen where it said Ryan versus the Oscars. And I thought that was interesting for me to put it up there because you know, this Oscar De La Hoya, who's the you know, the face of Golden Boy Promotions. And then you also have Oscar Duarte, who is the fighter, obviously, that we all know Ryan is fighting on December 2nd. But I think there's a bigger fight possibly going on at this point. And that's in between a public fight in between the promoter, the promotional company, and the fighter. Now, we've always heard about there being rifts in between fighters and in promotional companies, but it does seem like with those rifts, a lot of those situations were being ironed out in front, not in front of everybody, but behind closed doors, behind the curtains. We heard rumors of things happening, but it never happened in front of us that way to where we could really get an idea and really like, oh, okay, this is how it's working. So Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy Promotions, which includes Bernard Hopkins and Mr. Gomez, you know, himself, they've kind of had a reputation, and maybe some people would hold issues with me saying it that way, but having a reputation to not necessarily hold the fighters' well-being as a priority as their job, right? Like they first Golden Boy first, then the fighters, that type of relationship. And this is going back with, you know, Golden Boy's not that old of a company, Golden Boy is not that old of a company, right? So we're not talking about 100 years ago, but we can go as far back as like Canelo, which may be one of Golden Boy's first like superstars, like the biggest stars as far as profile wise that they had. And Canelo mentioning his relationship not working out and how Oscar wasn't really doing what was the best thing for him at that time in his career, and he had to move on and make relationships with other promotional platforms like The Zone and now PBC. But ultimately, starting there with Oscar De La Hoya, really putting a bad taste in his mouth as far as how Oscar De La Hoya handled promotions and how he handled their well-being and putting them first, which is what all fighters should feel like. If I go into a situation with management of somebody managing me, I would hope that they hold me as a priority over themselves when it comes to the business of me. You know, I hope that doesn't go over your head, right? And I hope that that does not go over your head. But Shane Mosley actually spoke about this a little bit as well today, saying that, you know, he does feel like Ryan Garcia should be addressing this situation that he's having with his promotional company maybe after the fight, because he didn't want it to be a distraction to Ryan Garcia, but at the same time admitting that this might be fuel as well for the young bull to use in an upcoming fight. But interesting situation to see Ryan Garcia going on a press conference run, addressing a situation he's having with his promoter, as far as Bernard Hopkins is concerned and Oscar De La Hoya is concerned. And, you know, this goes back as far as when Ryan Garcia was actually trying to coordinate a fight with Gervonta Davis, like let's say about 3 years ago. You guys will correct me, I'm sure, but let's say about 3 years ago, 2 to 3 years ago, and Oscar De La Hoya actually being in public saying that he didn't think Ryan was ready for that kind of fight. He didn't want Ryan to have that fight. So right then and there, you started to see the seeds being planted as far as Ryan Garcia's understanding that his promotional company doesn't have faith in him, doesn't believe in his abilities, or maybe the maturity of his abilities. We'll say that. Maybe Oscar De La Hoya does believe in the maturity of Ryan Garcia because he did sign him, but maybe he just felt like he wasn't there yet, that he had more to accomplish before he can step up as high as a Gervonta Davis. And look, that can come from a place of love. That can come in a place of the fighter's well-being, not necessarily just Golden Boy's position that they tend to lose, that they stand to lose or gain at Ryan Garcia's success or lack of success, right? But at the same time, from a fighter's perspective, from a Ryan Garcia's perspective, that's planting seeds of, you know, if you don't believe in me, if I'm telling you I'm ready for this, and I'm ready for this new challenge, and you don't believe in me after I've told you that, then I must not hold credibility with my team. And what does that do? And it starts to make you see when Ryan was going through his little mental health issue, you start to ask questions like what caused him to go over that edge to make him take that hiatus for however year to 2 years hiatus that he took, not fighting when we thought he should be fighting. Because keep in mind, Ryan Garcia was in the conversation with the Devin Haney's. I can remember when Devin Haney actually walked into the ring after a Ryan Garcia fight to actually challenge him and say, me next. I remember Devin doing that, right? When Devin was trying to come up, Devin stepped to Ryan Garcia like, me next. Me next. I've earned the right to be in the ring with you. We should. The people want to know, so we should. So that lets you know that where Ryan Garcia's level was at 2 years ago. And then he takes that hiatus and you know, time doesn't stop for any man. As he's in his hiatus, Gervonta Davis is building up his steam behind his name. He's doing all these accomplishments. Devin Haney moves forward. He's gaining titles and going for undisputed. All these things are happening. So when Ryan Garcia comes back into the game, he's actually behind now. He's actually looking to those same gentlemen who might have been looking to him at some point. He's looking to them for an opportunity to showcase and display what he's about. That's interesting. Like I said, I remember when Ryan was part of the Four Kings, right? What was the Four Kings? What was the Three Kings? It was Ryan Garcia. It was Devin Haney. It was Gervonta Davis. What had the Three Kings? And maybe Lomachenko, right? Yeah, I believe Lomachenko was the fourth king. So it was the Four Kings. And when he left and he came back, it wasn't that anymore, was it? So he came back, and he came back on the same mission to take off where he left from, and said, I'm back in my mind. I was thinking I was somebody who I'm not. I realized I am who I am, and I'm built for this. And he gets his fight with Gervonta Tank Davis, and during that fight, gets outclassed. Let's just be honest, people. Gets outclassed, gets put in his place, and for him to understand that, no, you have things to work on. You have things to work on. He got stopped, and something interesting happened through that stoppage, through that adversity that he went through. He got to see some real light get exposed onto some of the issues he may be having. He started to realize, and he said, wow, I'm sitting in this post-fight conference by myself. I am sitting in this post-conference by myself. This is not normal. Something's wrong here. This is not normal. Something is not going right here. And he thinks about it. He hugs Gervonta Davis. They take a picture, and the media is going crazy. Where's Oscar? Where's Bernard? They were there during the press conference, during the pre-press conference, saying how their fighter was going to do this and well prepared, and that Gervonta was going to get this work. But when it was all said and done, it didn't work out that way. Where were they? Where were they? Big letdown. Big letdown for Ryan Garcia. And at that point, he started to think about what his next steps are going to be. So he brings on Derrick James. Him and Derrick James build a relationship in Houston. They're working. Shout out to Derrick James. And he starts to see things, and he goes quiet. He goes into a hiatus of just focusing on boxing and falling in love with the sport again. And then we fast forward the tape to today. We fast forward the tape into Bernard Hopkins a few days ago mentioning that if he was in Ryan Garcia's position, what he would do and what he wouldn't do. And the tonality of the conversations that his promotional, the Oscar De La Hoyas, and specifically right now Bernard Hopkins in the crosshairs of being examined, really not showing faith in his fighter. Basically stating that this fight right here was going to dictate as to how they were going to promote Ryan in the future. And that's not unfair. That's a fair way of looking at things from a promoter. But the question has to come to mind is, how important or unimportant was it to make that a public statement? Isn't that something that Bernard may have been able to had in his mind and understood in between the Golden Boy promotional company of how they were going to move? But was it necessary to share that with the public? What was the purpose behind it? You have to have these thoughts in your mind while you're seeing these things come together. And I'm sure Ryan, being the person, being the person at the center of this whole thing, has to be feeling it even worse. We're suspicious of it. What is Ryan? What is Ryan? If we're suspicious of it, seeing it happen, what is Ryan feeling like in the middle of this happening? Well, Ryan responds. He has an interview. And he responds and basically says Bernard Hopkins has no say in where he goes in his career. Only him, his management, his trainer, and of course, his Lord and Savior have a say in where he goes with the future of his career. But we all understood when he said that what it meant. What it meant was, they don't have to believe in me. That's okay. I already knew they don't believe in me. I've been dealing with this for years as their star fighter on their roster. As the biggest star on their roster, the cash cow of Golden Boy at this point, because who do they have in comparison to Ryan Garcia as far as star sportsmanship, showmanship, ability to sell tickets, put asses in seats? Who's bigger than Ryan Garcia in Golden Boy's roster? So, as he should. He's suspicious of the people he's with. He's not comfortable with them. It's no secret that Ryan Garcia has been trying to separate himself from Golden Boy, and that a contract clearly that he signed has him in bondage. And Oscar's shown and expressed in other interviews as well that that is the case, and that no matter what's going on between him and Ryan, that there is a contract there that exists, and there is a business understanding that is there that supersedes any feelings or emotions that may be felt in between the parties in the conversation. And at the end of the day, Ryan will see you when you fight against Oscar Duarte. We'll see you. We'll see you. We'll see you when we fight against Oscar Duarte. Right? I guess that's what it is. And Ryan is pretty much an understanding of that and carrying out his responsibilities, but not a happy camper in Golden Boy Promotions right now. We can all see that. We can all see that happening. But fast forward to today's press conference. Fast forward to today's press conference where Ryan Garcia gets an opportunity to tell the world how he's been training, how confident he is going into this fight, how happy he is to have an opportunity to redeem himself, to show the world what he's been working on. And what does he take this opportunity to do? He takes this opportunity to address his promotional company. He takes this opportunity to address his promotional company. And oh, did he do that? Did he do that? Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Garcia is in the building. He made it clear that nobody has a say in what he's doing. And all the people, the Bernard Hopkins, the Oscar De La Hoyas, the Golden Boy Promotion as a company, he went Tupac on them dudes today, family. He went Tupac on them dudes today. And he had one thing to say to them.
You want it to be one way. What? You want it to be one way.
Man, I don't
want
know
it to be one
Man,
way.
stop. Stop saying that.
What is the other way?
Talk about it. Talk about it. He had to let him know. Listen, you guys are a temporary issue that we will be ironing out shortly. This contract will not last forever. And I know, according to Ryan Garcia, he said, I know you guys set up this guy, Oscar Duarte, to take me out. This is a setup. And that spoke in a whole nother way, because number one, the boldness to address your promotional company on a public platform like that. But also, let's be honest with each other, people. Ryan Garcia is aware of the challenge that's in front of him. Ryan Garcia is aware of the challenge in front of him in Oscar Duarte. This guy is not a cherry pick of a fight. This is a very difficult puncher, high knockout ratio having prospect for the Mexican community as a new star of Mexico, as a contender in this conversation. I think a picture has been painted of Oscar Duarte as some kind of stepping stone, some sort of tune-up fight for Ryan Garcia. And without a doubt, after today's press conference, I understand, and I don't know if you're in the same page as me to understand. Let me fix my camera a little bit. If you're in the same situation to see what I'm seeing, maybe I got my glasses. I wear glasses. Maybe you don't. Maybe you do, and you didn't have your glasses on. I don't know. I don't know. But what I saw was that this guy, Oscar Duarte, is not a tune-up fight. This is a real deal fight, and Ryan is feeling the pressure of this challenge that sits in front of him, and he feels some kind of way. He takes it to heart that Golden Boy would line this fight up for him after he had such a hard fight with Gervonta. And really, on this stage, at the end of the day, Ryan Garcia's gonna have to show up. He's gonna have to show up and show out. He's gonna have to show up and show out on this fight. And Ryan wasted no time in addressing the fact that he was aware of the game being played that was sitting in front of him. All right. There was definitely a frustration there. Now, my question is, with all that information coming in, and understanding. And I can compound it. Should I compound it? Should I compound it? Let me compound it a little bit. Let me add a little bit to it. Let me add a little bit more perspective to what's going on. So Oscar De La Hoya was being interviewed at the end of that press conference. And he said the normal, regular stuff, right? He said what he's supposed to say. But I'll tell you something interesting that came out. One thing was that when Oscar were to ask about Ryan Garcia's future, he said that was pending on the results of this fight. If Ryan Garcia is able to beat Oscar Duarte. And he said something specific that made the light bulb go over my head. He said, if, and then reiterated and added to the if with, and that's a big if. Oh my God. That's a big if. That's a big if. He said that's a big if, y'all. Take that. Take that with a grain of salt. He said that's a big if. That means he's very aware. He's very aware of what he's put together. He doesn't necessarily believe that Ryan's is gonna handle this. And that's kind of weird to a degree because, you know, as a promoter, you would think that he would line up, you know, Ryan Garcia with a fight that was very realistic for him to win. Even though he wants it to be somewhat competitive, but after a Gervonta Tank Davis fight, you would think he'd try to bring him in with maybe just a little bit of a tune-up type of energy of a fight, just to get Ryan back into being Ryan. But Ryan clearly doesn't feel like that tender touch was applied to his career the way they lined up this fight, because Oscar Duarte is such a dangerous fighter. And Oscar De La Hoya just basically admitted, you know what I'm saying? Just admitted and validated Ryan Garcia's fears as far as what Golden Boy has in plan for him. And you know, when you really paint the picture and you look at it for what it is, understanding that I think there's no question about it that Ryan Garcia doesn't plan on staying with Golden Boy. There might be a petty play in play here. And this is an opportunity for Ryan to foil the villainous Golden Boy Promotions plan to set him back and show the world that he's not him, that Ryan's not really that guy, and make it difficult for another promoter to take up from where they left at to push this kid to where he's supposed to be. You know, Bernard Hopkins said something also that was significant. He said two things that were significant. You know, he said a lot of stuff, but, you know, most of the stuff he said was just what's supposed to be said, right? Most of the stuff he said was just what he's supposed to say. But the two things that stuck out for me that he said was, one, he kept on saying this, and I know he tried to make it like it was a general thing, that it was for anybody in boxing, but, you know, I'll leave it up to you guys to process it and take it for whatever it's worth to you guys. But for me personally, he said two things that were significant. Number one, he says, and he's been saying it, and he's been saying it in every interview he's been at, damn near, since this Ryan Garcia Golden Boy promotion thing's been happening. He said, number one, boxing will call your bluff. Boxing will call your bluff. Take that for whatever it's worth for you. That's what I heard him say. I'm just quoting him. I'll leave it up to you to take that for whatever it's worth. And then he responded to something Ryan Garcia was speaking on. Ryan Garcia spoke to something of the nature of, you know, you should be treating me like a champion. I'm your biggest star. And Bernard said, Bernard first said, hold up, is Ryan a champion? I mean, I can't knock the man for saying that. That is true. He said, is Ryan a champion? And then he said, I've been in this business too long, and I will promote a fighter. That's my job. I have no problem promoting a fighter. But he said, I will not promote a lie. That man said, I will not promote a lie. I will not promote a lie. Is Ryan Garcia a lie? I don't know. Who knows what he meant by that? I'm sure it's not. I'm sure whatever we're thinking, that's not what it is. Right? I'm sure whatever we are thinking, that's not what it is. But I found that to be significant. I find that to be significant that the promoters of this fighter are so comfortable saying things that aren't 100% in the best interest of the fighter. I find that very interesting to see that happen. I mean, I can always respect honesty. I get it. You don't want to be a liar. But I've seen people deal with questions like that. I've seen people deal with being honest without throwing their fighter out there in a negative way. So I know that you can do that it doesn't have to be, honesty doesn't have to involve degrading or taking shots at a fighter that you supposedly have vested interest into being successful. But a lot of truths came out in this press conference. And we'll see how it pans out. We'll see how it unfolds as this comes together. But I thought it was something interesting, and I wanted to speak on it because very rarely do we get opportunities to see things like this play out in the public eye. You guys do me a favor. Tell me what you think. Am I reaching in my thought process right now? Am I rubbing on something that might be a little sensitive? Pause. But let me know what you think. Comment, like, subscribe. Definitely interested in what you guys are thinking on this topic that I'm talking about today. And I'm sure we'll be back at it, talking about it again in the coming days after the fight. Let's see how it pans out. But on that note, it's your boy, Rain. This is the ATP Combat Media. This is what we do. We're going to bring it to you and give you that real perspective. Hope you guys can appreciate it. Shout out to all my subscribers and all my supporters that have been showing me support up to this point. Young, real young channel, but we're moving accordingly, learning new things every day, and I'm glad you guys, and I'm happy, and I'm so thankful that you guys are being patient with us, me, myself, as I'm figuring this all out and bringing it together. And keep it coming, man. Keep the love coming, man. Share it. Keep the likes coming in, even the dislikes. I appreciate you guys as well, right? But on that note, it is the ATP Combat Media. This is Rain, and until the next one, at this point, we out.